Strangely enough, my mum and I never ever went down to the shops. Hello, Jules.
What are you doing, Ross?
I brought you the flower.
I said bring the flowers.
This is Haworth, isn't it?
Yes, at least you're in the right place. We're talking gardening and railways.
Well, in that case, I'm on the right track. Fancy lifting me crossbar?
I thought you'd never ask.
Well, let's go there, love. We're getting the train out of here. That was a bit quick, Jules.
Ross, remember what I said? We're talking railways and gardening.
Stefan Buchatsky, gardener extraordinaire. Right, OK, we're talking to him about the gardening. What about the railways?
You're talking to me about trains as well, Ross. This is my second great passion, steam railway engines.
I'm confused, Jules.
Yeah, you usually are. See you later.
All right, then. Tell me more, Stefan.
Well, that's what you're doing in West Yorkshire. This is the Keighley and Worth Valley Steam Railway, one of the best. Come on up, Ross, I'll show you.
All right, then. I'm still used to seeing this man a bit more like this. It's the smell, Stefan, isn't it?
It's absolutely wonderful, isn't it? It's getting to you already. And this, yeah, the steam and the smoke. It's one of the smells of my childhood. See, when I was a boy, I interested in natural history and wildlife. I used to go out looking for wild plants, wild flowers. And the village where I lived in Derbyshire had the main line, the LMS main line went through the village. And so the railway dominated it, and I got the smell of the plants and the smell of the train as well. Oh, it's tremendous. Takes me back. Of course, you're too young to remember. You remember your childhood's diesel fumes.
So that was it, you got into it in a big way, even when you were very young?
Oh yes, and it stuck with me, and now travelling around the country as I do, doing programmes, whenever there's a steam railway nearby, I'll go and visit it. And it's an extraordinary thing, you know, that lots of people are interested in wildlife and natural history and living animals and living plants are interested in steam trains, because it's the closest any bit of machinery comes to being a living object. You feel this thing, it's moving under your feet, it's breathing fire all around you.
I never thought of it like that. I always think of you as someone associated with beautiful things, and it's a smelly, dirty old steam train.
Well, it might be smelly and dirty. I mean, it's a relative thing, that, but there's an excitement to it. There's a romance. Imagine being on a footplate like this, doing 100 miles an hour on an express train in the middle of the night with the glow of the fire coming up at you. Yeah, all right, you get your hands a bit dirty and a bit greasy, but think of the place that it takes you to. Think of the scenery that the steam railway takes you through.
This is Oxenhope.
This is Oxenhope Station. This is where they keep the carriages, actually. Oh, this was that 2 on the engine there, indicates it was a British Railways Class 2.
Ah. I have to say, that is boyhood dream time, isn't it? For both of us.
Isn't it just, yes.
We drove a steam engine.
Yes. It's a good engine, that, actually. British Railways Standard Class 2 engine I remember well.
Now, this place itself is just amazing.
Yeah, it is. The railway, in fact, been here a number of years now, but all the engines, like that one, were rescued from, I mean, they were going to be scrapped. British Rail were going to sell them off, and that one came from a scrapyard in South Wales, I think about 15 years ago. This is one of the, I think, one of the best of the preserved railway lines, but it's run by volunteers. They have a Keighley and Worth Valley Railway Society of about 4,000 members who support it, and then of them, I suppose about 400 of them actually work here, give up their time at weekends and the holidays, and come and man the stations and clean the lines, and the really lucky blighters get to drive them.
You know exactly what that's all about now.
Yeah, and of course it's not, I mean, we were just playing at driving engines, but it actually takes quite a long time to learn that and to pass the tests and so on. But it's a popular tourist attraction in the area. I mean, I think it brings quite a bit of revenue to the area. Someone was telling me, I think they had 140,000 passengers on the railway last year. They run a proper commercial timetable. I mean, this is run like a proper business. It's not just games.
Presumably it's quite a costly business.
Yeah, it is a costly business. Obviously, the passengers, the revenue of the ticket sales and so on, and the support of the society itself. Because keeping an engine like that running And they've got, you know, 6 or 7 of them actually in steamable condition at any one time. As you say, isn't cheap, but it's run as a commercial enterprise.
And how far can people travel on the railway here?
They've got about 5 miles of track, so the return trip is 10 miles there and back, so it's a good run out. And, you know, this is why it's a tourist attraction. People reliving their childhood and men of my age showing their sons what it was all about.
It's always got a slightly sort of boring image, hasn't it? But today I'm definitely seeing another side.
Well, it's never had a boring image to me. You've been converted today, quite definitely.
I think I definitely have. Anyway, let's steam on with the facts.
Now, I've been having my own look around the railway, and it really does seem to be mostly a man's hobby. But here at Haworth, the only full-time employee on the entire railway is a woman, Julie Carter, and she's not just making the tea or cleaning the carriages. Julie, hello there.
Hello.
What exactly are your duties here?
Officially, I'm the administrator. Unofficially, GM, which is General Mug.
Oh, what do you do?
Well, everything really. Answering the phone, typing up minutes, distributing minutes.
Do you ever go out on the station with the trains?
Occasionally I have to go and see the train off, which means learning all the rules and regulations, having flags and...
Right. And are you absolutely fascinated by the trains? You find them wonderful?
Not really. I'm not really into trains at all.
Oh dear. Do you never go for a ride on the trains?
Yes, well, especially at Christmas, I dress up as a pixie for the Santa specials.
You dress up as a pixie?
Yes, Santa's little helper.
Right. And if you don't like trains, do you have a hobby, a particular passion?
Well, I think you should step this way.
Oh, I'm not sure I like the sound of this. Well, this is it. This is Julie's hobby. Julie, tell us all about it.
Well, I'm one of the founder members of the Plastic Mac Appreciation Society.
And what does the Plastic Mac Appreciation Society do?
Well, basically, we just go everywhere wearing our flowered mats to all sorts of functions. And
Right, well, you look very
Right for place.
fetching. I must say, we've got the Macs on, we've got the weather for it. Let's test them out.
I know.
I'll never work again.
Now then, Stefan, Oakworth. I know there's one
And why do you know this one?
because it's famous. This station's been on the telly, it's been in films, Richard Gere and Yanks.
Oh, Last of the Summer Wine as well.
And of course, the Railway Children, probably what it's most famous for.
Yes, I think it is. And the reason people come here, and the reason it's used for films, is it is, well, I think it's the most beautiful station in Britain, but it's a recreation of an authentic Edwardian railway station, what it really would have looked like in the Edwardian period. And, I mean, these gas lamps. Do you know that this railway line is actually the 3rd biggest user of gas for illumination in the country?
No,
Yeah.
strangely enough, no.
Well, there you are, there's another fact for you. It's got the right ambience, hasn't it? I mean, I don't actually remember, even I don't remember Edwardian
Are you sure?
stations. I do. But it feels right.
How close, though, is it? Seriously.
Oh, I think it is close, because they've used photographs of this station and other stations of the period, and they've got the old signs up and the old timetables and so on. I think it's wonderful.
Well, Oakworth, it kept its name in the movie The Railway Children, and it also kept its beautiful gardens as well.
Even on a day like today, these flower beds look absolutely tremendous, don't they? And bear in mind, you see, this is done by volunteers, just like everything else on the railway.
I would have thought, though, with big steam trains going by, it would just have killed all the flowers off.
Yeah, well, I think there's probably a bit of natural selection goes on, I think, over the years. plants that are resistant to hot steam have been planted in railway gardens. And I'll tell you something else that always amazes me about this railway. The roses here are really healthy. I mean, look at that foliage of that yellow rose. Now, in your garden, and in my garden, if I'm honest, that would have black spot on it. It doesn't here, and my theory is that it's sulphur coming out of the trains and the smoke. The sulphur's a fungicide, you see. We use it in gardens. I reckon it's a natural railway fungicide keeping these plants healthy. But how wonderful it is when you're on a journey, I mean, on this railway line or anywhere railway line, to see colour along the sides. And even on motorways today, you see. I mean, a motorway journey at one time was a miserable thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Now they're actually planting wildflowers along the
No, you
roadside
can't just
embankments.
grass verges.
No, it used to be, you see, it isn't. But I mean, I think they're taking a leaf out of the book of people like this and beautifying all our journeys, road and railway.
Well, you certainly think this is the most beautiful station. I think it's certainly the most famous. I wonder what's the smallest?
Ponder no more. Damon's isn't just the smallest station on the Worth Valley line, it's also the smallest station in the country. In fact, it's so small that the platform's only long enough for one carriage. But it really is a beautifully kept station. I'm now at the station house in Damon's with the current tenant, Keith Gledhill. Keith, your home is totally unique. How long have you been here?
I've lived here for 11 years and took over from the previous tenant, Annie Feather, who was actually official crossing keeper for British Railways until she retired.
Oh,
And she was a remarkable old lady. I was only 16 at the time, and there was no water in the station, and she used to quite happily make me cups of tea. So I suppose she's been a source of inspiration, really.
and you've kept it very much in her style.
Yes, I've got the gas lights and period furniture. In fact, it's all very much in the spirit of how she would have probably wanted it to be.
Talking of spirits, I believe you've got an unwelcome visitor.
I believe so, yes. The present station master has seen an apparition of an old man in a cloth cap, but I personally haven't seen it yet.
I've come over all peculiar. The place of Catherine's interment, to the surprise of the villagers, was neither in the chapel, under the carved monument of the Lintons, nor yet by the tombs of her own relations outside. It was dug on a green slope, in a corner of the kirkyard, where the wall is so low that heath and bilberry plants have climbed over it. The tale of Catherine and Heathcliff is one of the great romantic stories of English literature. And it's here in Haworth, at the parsonage, that Emily Bronte and her sisters Charlotte and Anne lived and wrote their great works. Well, Jane, here we are in the dining room. Very restful atmosphere, very serene in here.
Well, it's probably the most significant room in the house because it's the room where the Brontes wrote.
Right.
And we have a lovely image, in fact, of them walking around this table in this room together, talking about their ideas for their writing. And the things in the room are all things that belong to the Brontes. The furniture, the table and chairs, even the sofa over there is the one on which Emily Bronte is believed to have died. We have a very tragic account of her death from Charlotte. Oh. But it's displayed with things that belong to them. So when you look at the table, you have the writing box. We have one belonged to each of the sisters. This is Anne's writing box with her things in it. A workbox with sewing materials and so on. And a very plain tin box in which they kept some of the little manuscripts that they wrote, which are very special things in his collection.
They wrote such tiny books and the writing is so small.
That's right. And the thing is, they started writing as children, and they chose to use this minuscule handwriting. And of course, they had very limited materials for them to write on. They made things out of sugar bags and so on. But they served a very important kind of literary apprenticeship when they were children.
Yes. What do you think the factors were that combined to make such literary geniuses?
Well, I think that the father was the main influence, Patrick Bronte, who was the rector of Haworth, who was himself, got himself an education from a very humble background, and he encouraged all his children, and he even let them read Byron when they were 9 years old, to have access to any books or art or newspapers that came into the house. So they naturally became writers because this is what they had been doing.
There was a tremendous input.
That's right.
And also in the room there's a sculpture of Branwell.
Yes, that's a portrait of Branwell, the unfortunate brother. It was made by a friend of his, a sculptor called Bentley. Branwell was really the sort of family tragedy because there were great hopes for him, but every career he tried was doomed. He tried to be a portrait painter, a tutor. He was even at one time a clerk on the Halifax Railway, and he got the sack from that, which is unfortunately what happened to him in every job, and then he turned to drugs and drink.
Oh
and
dear.
that was the end of Branwell.
And when visitors come to the museum, what do they like seeing best?
What always strikes me is that it's not so much the sort of very important literary artefacts, but it's the very personal things about the Bronte that draws them. I'd say particularly Charlotte's gown, which we always have a gown on display upstairs, because you tell looking at it it's so tiny, and you get a sense of her fragility, and then her tiny shoes, and these really inspire the most sentimental reaction in people. And then also probably her wedding veil and bonnet, which we preserve very, very beautifully. So it's those personal things, so you get a sense of the person rather than the great writer.
None of these engines will be travelling anywhere at all because these are the beasts that are waiting to be lovingly restored. This one, 20 years ago, it was brought over from Sweden. It's actually the only one of its kind in the world. And the man who's got the glorious task of sticking it all back together again is Tim. Get over here. There's no way I'm leaping over there. It's a bit of a job.
It is. As you said, it came from Sweden. It was built in this country in 1945 by the Ministry of Supplies and shipped to the continent for the war. After the war, it came redundant, so the Ministry of Supplies sold it off. It ended up in the Swedish Railway hands. In 1970, 3 members from the Worth Valley Railway shipped it back to this country, and it ran for a couple of years. They needed a lot of money working on it, so they put it in store till 1990, and I raised an appeal to get it out and overhaul it.
And how much money are we looking at?
Roughly in the region of £40,000. This item here, which is the boiler, will cost in the region of £20,000. The running gear with the wheels in the region of 20 again. So it's a large amount of money.
Now, come on, Tim, without being disrespectful, you're a young man, 25 years of age. Surely you should be out having a game of football or something rather than getting your hands mucky with this.
Well, it's good fun, and I enjoy it, and seeing a steam engine work at the end of the day, it gives me some pride that I've worked on it and achieved that myself.
How many engines have you restored?
On the Worth Valley Railway, there's been about 20 in the last 25 years. This will be 26, hopefully, in 1995.
But Tim, what about your poor girlfriend, Jill? She must think you are absolutely barking mad.
She's done the next best thing and joined the group to be with the boys.
Really?
So she's somewhere here.
Do you enjoy it?
I do. If you can't beat them, you have to join them.
Exactly, and that's what I call a steamy romance. Don't want to worry you guys, but 2 years to go.
Yeah.
Get back to it. And right now, it's time for Quiz Call. And since we've had such a great time today delving into history, here's your chance to win a very special English holiday. It's a luxury weekend break in Shakespeare country. This weekend for 2 begins with first-class rail travel to Coventry, where a chauffeur-driven car from the Museum of Road Transport will whisk you to a luxury hotel where you'll be staying for the weekend. As well as the beautiful countryside to be discovered, there's a VIP guided tour of Warwick Castle and a visit backstage at the Royal Shakespeare Theatre in Stratford-upon-Avon, and also 2 tickets for the evening performance. And as a special bonus, there's £250 spending money. So if you fancy being pampered in classic style, here's today's Brainbuster. Which 1970s film starred Bernard Cribbins and Jenny Agutter and was filmed on the Worth Valley Railway? Was it A, Murder on the Orient Express, B, The Railway Children, or C, Thomas the Tank Engine? Which 1970s film starring Bernard Cribbins and Jenny Agutter was filmed on the Worth Valley Railway? Was it A, Murder on the Orient Express, B, The Railway Children, or C, Thomas the Tank Engine? If you know the answer, give us a call now on 0891 800 333. That's 0891 800 333. And if you're right and your name comes out of the computer, you'll be making tracks for Stratford.
Stefan, I just want to say I'm going to give up the footlights for a life on the footplate.
There's a steamy future ahead of you, Julie.
I was a bit worried about him earlier on when he was on the footplate. I thought we're never going to get him off.
You had to prise my hand off that regulator.
We certainly did, just as well, because you're going to be back with Anne and Nick and Good Morning and the rest of the team. That's all happening October the 11th.
That's right.
Yes, from Monday, October the 11th, every morning from 9 o'clock, I'll be bringing you 4 hours of the best of British morning programming. Robert Kilroy-Silk will be returning with a brand new series debating issues that affect all our lives. Anne Diamond and Nick Owen will be wishing you all a great good morning. And I'll be joining Judy Spires and Alan Titchmarsh to present the UK's top daytime entertainment show, Pebble Mill.
Time to catch the London Express.
Certainly is tomorrow with Jan Rowland at the Inns of Court.
Don't forget your briefs, Ross.
And not off.
You've worn that hat all day.
Yeah, I know, but it's Yorkshire. It's my flat hat, and the weather's not been very nice. I couldn't find anything more appropriate. Thanks, pal.
And there's a Mac to match.
Oh, fine. Can I just try it on? Oh, dear. Just want to try it for size. It's a perfect fit.